A lot of people right now are doing exactly what people did at the start of COVID. They are freezing, they are waiting, they are telling themselves, let's just hold off, the market might crash. And honestly, that fear is understandable. When uncertainty rises, costs go up, headlines get louder, and confidence drops. People naturally go into a defensive mode. But here's the problem. That is often the exact moment the biggest opportunities are created. At the start of COVID, people thought the world was falling apart. They thought property prices would collapse. They delayed decisions. They sat on the sidelines, waiting for the perfect time to buy. And what happened? Government stepped in. Support rolled out, liquidity came back into the system, rates were cut, and confidence returned. And those who acted early won. Those who waited in fear, most of them were left with regret. And right now, I believe we are seeing a very similar setup unfold. We are in an environment where rising fuel cost and broader cost pressures are starting to hit households and businesses hard. And when that starts happening, government just don't sit back and watch the economy unravel. They step in. We are already seeing the early signs of that. The first announcement was the government halving fuel excise for the next 3 months. That's a direct move to reduce pressure on households and businesses right now. It shows they are already trying to soften the blow and support the economy. Then we saw the ATO come out and offer targeted support for impacted businesses. Again, that's another sign that authorities are trying to keep businesses afloat during this period. Because once businesses come under pressure, the risk becomes job losses and weaker confidence. And now we are seeing the government move towards $1 billion handout package, including interest-free loans for struggling businesses. That tells you they are not prepared to sit back and let businesses carry their pressure alone. It tells you intervention is building, not shrinking. Now think about the bigger picture. Because if support measures are not enough to stabilize things, then the next step becomes obvious. How long before the rates start coming down? The RBI has been raising interest because inflation has been sticky and unemployment has been low. And we all know when interest rate goes up, liquidity gets pulled out of the economy. That's the whole point. But we are in a situation where the cost of living is rising, fuel costs are rising, and the cost of doing business is rising too. Which means liquidity is already being drained from the economy anyway. Households are feeling it. Businesses are feeling it. Confidence starts to weaken, spending slows down, and once business starts struggling, the next risk becomes obvious: job losses and rising unemployment. Now think about the contradiction here. On one hand, the government is stepping in with support measures, handouts, relief, and business assistance to inject liquidity back into the economy and keep businesses afloat. On the other hand, if RBI keeps increasing interest rates aggressively, that pulls liquidity straight back out again. And two can't keep moving in opposite directions forever, because you can't be trying to support the economy with one hand while choking liquidity with the other. So if support measures are not enough to minimize the impact of higher fuel cost and broader economic pressure, then the likely next step is a shift in monetary policy. And that's why I believe the chance of rate cuts in the next 3 to 6 months becomes very real. And when that happens, you have government support, handouts, and lower interest rates all feeding liquidity back into the system. That becomes a perfect breeding ground for capital growth. And we have seen this before. When liquidity comes back in system and confidence turns, market doesn't wait around. They move fast. And by the time many people feel confident enough to act, the opportunity had already moved ahead of them. They waited for certainty, but certainty came after the window had already started closing. And that's why I believe we may be looking at a very similar moment right now. This could be the second chance for people who wish they had back then. And with some markets still remaining affordable, this could even be the last real window before the next phase of growth begins. So the question is not whether things feel uncertain right now. They do. The real question is, will you let fear stop you again? Because history shows us that the people who build wealth are not the ones who wait until everything feels safe. They are the ones who understand what's happening beneath the headlines, recognize the shift before the crowd does, and position themselves early. If you're serious about investing, this is not the time to disappear. This is the time to get educated, get clear, and get ready. Because the people who acted early in uncertain times are often the ones everyone else wishes they had copied later. Thank you.